Hello and how's it going? It is the bookshelf tour. Now, one person asked for it a while back, and I'm doing it now. I have one main bookshelf, but then I have random sprouts of books everywhere. So let's get on with the bookshelf tour. This is a little overview of my main bookshelf. It's so cute. I'll go into detail on every bookshelf now. I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way up. So my bottom shelf is a bit of a fuckery because I have books everywhere. So over on this side we have J.R. Ward's Black Dagger Brotherhood series. This is the first book in the series. I have no idea what number this book is in the series. I actually forgot to read this book in the series, but it was fine. Behind that we have the Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare. I have the first book in the series. Is this the second book in the series? I have not a clue. Another book in the series, and then the last tree over there. Over the Mortal Instruments series I have more of the Black Dagger Brotherhood series, just in this weird like mass paperback editions. Look how much I've broken the spine on this one. I think everyone should read the Black Dagger Brotherhood series, the Shadowhunter Codex. Here I have the Infernal Devices trilogy. Then over on the side I have more Cassandra Clare books, so the Bane Chronicles, Tales of a Shadowhunter Academy. Then I have the Dark Artifices trilogy by Cassandra Clare, and the last book in the trilogy, and look at the tabs. It's also signed because I met Cassandra Clare like a few years ago when she came to Ireland. This is my second to last shelf from the ground. More fantasy books. The Rat and the Dawn by Renee Ahdieh. The Rose and the Dagger by Renee Ahdieh. This duology is amazing and everyone should read it. Then over here we have the Locke series. So the first book, Obsidian. The fourth book, Origin. Oblivion, I think this is the first book but from the guy's point of view, so Damon's point of view. This novella, which was so sad. Second book in the series, One Criers Moon by Catherine Purdy. As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. This is the last book in the Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy. I have the first book in the trilogy, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Highly recommend if you're into YA mystery thrillers. The Inheritance Game and The Hawkturn Legacy by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Highly recommend these books again if you're into a YA thriller. The Hunger Games by Susan Collins, of course. This book is goated. This trilogy is goated. Ace of Spades, mystery, Gossip Girl, dark academia vibes. The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness. A really underrated YA fantasy dystopian book. Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. A Dark and Hollow Star by Ashley Shuttleworth. The Hunger Games Mockingjay by Susan Collins. Catching Fire by Susan Collins. The Heart of Betrayal by Mary Pearson. And this is the second book in the Kiss of Deception trilogy. So they're all the books there. Battle of Songbirds and Snakes by Susan Collins, which is a prequel to The Hunger Games, and I adored this book. This is the third one from the bottom, and probably my favourite shelf, to be honest. Tower of Dawn by Sarah J Maas. Here we have the whole Throne of Glass series, The Assassin's Blade, Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, Heir of Fire, Queen of Shadows, Empire of Storms. The last book in the series, Kingdom of Ash. This book broke my heart. This whole series is just phenomenal and it holds such a special place in my heart. Next we have An Ember in the Ashes quartet. I just don't have the fourth book, which I need to get. An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. A Torch Against the Night by Sabaa Tahir. A Reaper at the Gates by Sabaa Tahir. I've actually read these books twice because I really love them. The Cruel Prince trilogy. How the King of Elflame Learned to Hate Stories. This was probably my favourite. The Wicked King by Holly Black. And this is signed too because she was on the same tour with Cassandra Clare, so that's exciting. The Cruel Prince, and I didn't actually love this series. I know everyone raves about it, but I mean it was okay. I don't know, I don't think I mightn't have vibed with her writing maybe. A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire by Jennifer Larmatrout. This book gave me a book hangover for Blood and Ash. Kingdom of the Wicked. And isn't the cover just so stunning? Kingdom of the Cursed. And we have this random book that I read years ago, An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Robertson. I didn't actually love this, I'm not gonna lie. It's a standalone. I wouldn't recommend. Well, this is technically the first shelf, because that's not really a shelf, it's just I had to put books there. I'm gonna have to hold my phone for this because I can't put it on anything. An Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Then we have A Court of Thorns and Roses series. House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J Maas was probably one of my favourite books of all time, maybe, I don't know. A Court of Frost and Starlight. A Court of Wings and Ruin. Why does that sound so sad when I said that? A Court of Mist and Fury, and A Court of Thorns and Roses. And oh my god, this series, I love it so much. And the old covers will forever be goated. Why did she change the covers? I don't know, because they're disgusting. These ones are so much nicer. Then of course we have House of Earth and Blood, a stunning book. We have the Stalking Jack the Ripper Quartet series by Kerry Maniscalco. It's like a really good investigation. Stalking Jack the Ripper, hunting Prince Dracula, escaping from Houdini, capturing the devil. Then we have the two books that are just, chilling up there. So we have The Poppy War by R.F. Wong. Love this, a high fantasy book. So good. War and Politics. And then we have the second book, which is The Dragon Republic. Love this, great book. I have two more Cassandra Clare books. Chain of Gold, this cover is stunning. Chain of Iron, which I think this cover, like all these covers in this series are stunning. I have the Selection series by Kira Cass. I read this year and they were cute, cute, white, contemporary, dystopian. But yeah. And this is my final shelf. This is all romance, contemporary. Letters to the Lost by Bridget Kemmerer. I love Bridget Kemmerer's contemporaries. I know she has fantasy books like A Curse of Dark and Lonely, but her contemporary books are really underrated. Also, Holly Byrne is another really good contemporary writer. It Only Happens in the Movies. Really good book. Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Maybe Someday by Colleen Hoover. Hopeless by Colleen Hoover. The Slammed trilogy here. We have the first book, Slammed. The second book, Point of Retreat. And the third book, This Girl. It ends with us. Obviously iconic. Everyone has read this. Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. November 9 by Colleen Hoover. The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. Loved this so much. Worth the hype. And then we have The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. Confess by Colleen Hoover. Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armaz. Really good. Enemies to Lovers. Fake Dating. All these books that I don't feel like taking out individually, but here they are. Here we have like a pile of books that are just chilling next to my bookshelf because I have no other room or space for them. I have the Infernal Devices just in the different covers, but these are stunning. This Shadowhunter book with all the pictures of the characters and their names and like who they are. The first book in the Infernal Devices series. Another J.R. Ward book, Clockwork Angel in the German edition, which is actually really nice. Have I read it? No, because it's in German, but it's stunning. Vampire Academy series books. So I have the first one. I don't know what number this is in the series. Shadowkiss. The Harry Potter series, and they're like mixed up there too, which I haven't read and I don't think I'll ever read. Yes, the covers are really nice. I just don't think I'll ever read them ever, which is sad, but I'm gonna be honest with myself. I have the Hunger series by Michael Grant. It's more in the YA, like the lower YA books, but it's really good dystopian. We also have the Bloodlines series books up top here. This little cubby hole, I have more books in it because obviously no space, so I'm throwing them everywhere. Beautiful Disaster by Jamie Maguire. I read this years and years ago before I actually found out that there are good romance books. Scythe by Neil Shusterman. I didn't actually like this. I think it's overrated. The Girls I've Been by Tessa Sharp. Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman, which is the second book in the trilogy. I haven't read the last book in the trilogy. I do want to read it because this book did leave off with a cliffhanger. Nightingale by Kristen Cashmore. Eclipse, which Stephanie Meyer. It's in the the Twilight series. I read this just because it was €1 and it was terrible. The Winner's Curse trilogy. Winner's Curse, The Winner's Kiss, The Winner's Crime. This is the first book in the Graceling series, the second book in the Graceling series, A Trial of Sorcerers, My Best Friend's Exorcism. Don't recommend. I did not like it. A random book in a series that I got mostly from the library, but I bought this book for some reason. I actually really like this. This is the Heroes of Olympus series, and then up top we have the Percy Jackson books. I've read them, I've enjoyed them. The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. Overrated. It was good, but overrated. Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. The Edge of Everything by Jeff Giles. Crimson Bound by Rosamund Hodge. Cruel Beauty by Rosamund Hodge. Both her books are retailing, so I think this is Red Riding Hood retailing and this one's Beauty and the Beast retailing. They were good, just not memorable. Over here then, I really meant it when I put my books randomly. This is on my desk, and these are the Owlcrate books and the One Fairy book I have gotten from my subscription box. I have The Poison Heart, the Gilded Ones, Jadefire Gold. It's a really solid fantasy YA book. And These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. A really good Romeo and Juliet retelling, fantasy. So over here, more stacks of randomly placed books. Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. More J.R. Ward books, honestly, they're everywhere. Fault in Our Stars by John Green. I think this is the first book that I read that actually made me cry. I've read it like 10 years ago or whenever it came out. Shatter me, restore me, ignite me, unravel me, defy me, imagine me, believe me. The Shadow and Bone trilogy, which of course I don't have the books in the same editions. Who would I be if I had books in the same editions? I don't know. I would be a different woman. The first book, Shadow and Bone. The second one, Siege and Storm. The Ruin and Rising. It by Stephen King, which is probably, this book and A Little Life are two probably the most proudest books I've ever read. Like, how I read this book is 1,200 pages. How did I read this book? And I gave it 4.5 stars. Why? This is the last book in the Vampire Academy series. It's in a different edition because Amazon, honestly, I buy books and they just give me the weirdest editions. New Moon, Stephanie Meyer. I read this, did not like it. The Call by Patrick Gilleen. I always want to support Irish authors. I actually really did like this. It was a unique idea. It's Flame in the Mist by Renee Ahdieh. I liked it when I read it, but I cannot remember anything of it. I know there's more books in the series, but I have not read them. Here are my final books, and these ones are different from my other books. So every book I've showed you so far are books I've read. But I don't know what is wrong with my brain, but I can't have books I haven't read yet in with books I have read. So these books here, all these books here up to Under Lock are books I haven't read, and these books here then are ones I recently read. That is my system. It works for me. A Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue. I think this is the next book I'm going to read after the book I'm reading. Last Sword by Victoria Aveyard. The Crown of Gilded Bones by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I've been putting off this book for about 12 years. I really need to read it. The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. I started this book last year. I have gone this way through. How do people rave about this book? It is word vomit of names for about 200 years. I just want to get to the dragon fights, and there's no dragon fights. Unraveling Oliver by Liz Nugent. Rebel Spring by Morgan Rhodes. Book 2 in the Fallen Kingdom series, which is a high fantasy series. The Four Winds by Christian Hanna. Defy the Night by Bridget Kemmier. The Summoner series. The Kane Chronicles trilogy by Rick Riordan. Absolutely beautiful covers. Well done, Rick Riordan. I really do want to read this trilogy soon. Also, this is the book I'm currently reading, Again But Better. And surprisingly, I really like this book. I thought it was going to be shit. I had very low expectations, but I love it. I am almost done. A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. One Last Stop. My Favourite Half Night Stand by Christina Lauren. The Starless Sea by Erin Morgeson. Gathering Darkness by Morgan Rose. This is the third book in the Fallen Kingdom series. It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. Children of Virtue and Vengeance. The first book in the Fallen Kingdom series. The Woven Kingdom by Tara Maffey. Really want to read this fantasy series very badly. The last book on my TBR, my physical TBR, is Under Lock by Mariana Zapata. And here are the 3 books I've read so far in May. Have a Little Life, which is definitely one of the most proudest books I've ever read in my life. Beach Read by Emily Henry. Laura Dean Keeps on Breaking Up with Me. So yeah, that was my bookshelf tour. Hope you enjoyed. Peace.